My name is Deni Gloria Jimenez, and I'm an associate production manager at Cinesite Vancouver. And what that means is that think of it as, in an airport, the tower control, they kind of tell all the airplanes what they do and how to do it. And if there's any sort of issue, then tower control is in charge of sorting things out. That's kind of what production does. So I'm an assets manager. So what that means is that every object, every character, every little object that you see in the film, it's part of the assets department. So I oversee and I work with all of the coordinators to make sure that the assets get done on time. So I would say definitely one of the highlights of my career has been migrating to Canada. I was born and raised in Mexico, and migrating to Canada was very difficult, of course, but it has allowed me to grow in a lot of ways. English is not my first language, so my native language is Spanish, and although I understand a lot of English, there was this one time where I was in a director review and I was taking notes for the director review, and the note was, add a beret to this character. And I was like, a beret? And for me, a beret was one of those little French styled hats that you wear on the side of your head. And so when I went back to give the note, I was like, I think they want a beret on top of the character. And they were like, a beret? I was like, yeah, that's what I heard. And they were like, are you sure? I was like, yeah. Am I not sure? It turns out they had asked for a beret, like one of those clips, hair clips, which is very different from an actual beret. And that was just another of my funnier stories in the industry, just as an immigrant, right? Learning a new language and navigating this industry in a different language than my own. I think those are little funny things. When these things happen to me, the best thing is just to laugh it off and learn, because there's no other way around it. When I went into arts and animation, I did it for the love of film and animation per se. When I was a student and when I first graduated, I never knew how important it would be to develop soft skills, as they call them. So the ability to talk to people, to empathize, and to truly listen are really important in what I do. And they are skills that I have acquired along the way. But if someone told me 15 years ago, you're gonna have to be a pro at this to excel in what you do, I would have been like, please, I can talk to people. And I just couldn't. It's a learned skill. It's something that you have to acquire and to polish and to practice, because you learn that you're dealing with many different personalities and many different people that feel differently and think in different ways, and you need to be able to reach to all of them. I never knew that was going to be something that I would be needing quite a lot, actually. Back in Mexico, when I decided to study arts and animation, arts and animation are still a developing industry back home at that time. There are a lot of companies doing great work, but it's not the same as it is here in Canada or in the US. It's not such a big industry. So when I went and I studied, I was so excited to make these a career path. So I remember on my graduation day, I was super excited. 4.5 years were past me. I had my diploma and ready to go out into the world and celebrate. And a very close relative of mine approached me. And this is someone that I love and care deeply about, and that loves me and cares deeply, deeply about me, right? So this person with the best intentions approached me, and they said, well, you studied your hobby, but now it's time to go out into the world and get a real job. You might want to tell your sister to get you into the company that she works at. And that completely took me back. Like, I was like, wow, is this how everyone feels about what I'm pursuing? Like, I can do this. I can make a living out of this. It's not just a hobby that I decided to spent 4 years and a half on, it's what I want to do with my life. And so I think just from that point on, I set to prove them wrong. I set to like really make these work and make a living out of these and make a name for myself and be in cool projects. And I have. It hasn't been easy, but I have. One of my earliest and fondest memories with my dad is just assisting him because he was building a CPU from scratch. My dad is a software engineer, and he kind of always encouraged my love for technology, and he was a teacher as well as a software developer. So he would take me to his classes, he would teach me about history, computer history, and he would include me in all these activities that he would do just to sort of foster that love for computers and technology. Very early on, he was also the first one to encourage me to explore beyond a computer user. When he found out that I had an interest in digital arts, he got me this digital camera and he enrolled me on a Flash course so that I could learn how to use Flash. And that has meant a lot to me. When I was in school, there wasn't anywhere to study digital arts and animation. Like I said, it's a brand new industry there. So when he found out that they were going to open a program at my university, he told me about it. He's like, if you still care about this, you might want to give it a try. And I did. I was studying marketing at the time, and I dropped out of marketing, and I waited for an entire year for the major to open, and I haven't looked back. So I think I wouldn't be here without my dad. As an 11-year-old, I loved anime, which is not something that I would admit to anyone really, because back then it wasn't cool. So I remember I used to sneak out and watch anime, and I still loved cartoons very, very much, but I never really admitted that to my friends because I wanted to seem cool, and I wanted them to like me. And for a long time, I really hid that part of myself, the part of myself that liked to play maybe a little video games and, watch anime, and that was in love with computers and internet, which wasn't really that much of a thing back then. So if I could say someone to 11-year-old me was, do not be afraid of your guilty pleasures, because they might become a career for you. And spoiler alert, my friends still talk to me, and we're still friends all these years. Like, they love me for who I am, and we talk even now that we have babies and are married and so on. It doesn't really matter. So I would say just embrace your interests, as geeky or as silly as they may seem. People who love you will love you with or without them.